Okay, well, it is 6:30, so I want to welcome everybody to our action hour for October. And if everybody here went to national conference and you sat in Luann Chapman's presentation, you will remember that it was a really, really good presentation. And I have asked her uh, to do another presentation, probably same subject or maybe slightly different. But since she's going to take about 40, 45, or 50 minutes time, I'm going to turn it directly over to Luann and she can begin.
Well, thank you so much. That was so nice. The This kind of gets broken down into a live auction items, a silent auction area, and then just wackadoodle fundraisers that I bet you've never thought of using a goldfish before in fundraising. But before the end of the day, we're going to be talking about that. Um, This is going to be okay. So those kind of the area we're going to talk raffles. We're just going to cover it all. The biggest thing in my mind is you have to know your audience. Who is going to be at your event? How much money are they going to spend? What kind of items might they want? I've done auctions for all of this group of people or fundraising, and every single one of them, you pinpoint a different thing. If it's Ambucks related, go for the alcohol. It's fast, it's easy, and it'll make you a lot of money. Um, the Grace Gala, they raise $250,000 in a night. You don't find anything small there. So the other thing is because we are talking about multi-states, make sure you're aware of your gaming laws in your state so that some states have requirements on how many auctions, how many raffles you can do, even as a 501c3. With live auctions, I always prefer to have a professional auctioneer. Somebody local's the best because they keep it moving, and that's what you want. You don't want more than 8 to 10 people. You want to have a lot of spotters. You want spotters that are loud. You want spotters that are pushy. You want spotters that are encouraging. And then you want to have a number of credit card machines with people that as soon as they make that bid and win it, you're over there getting their payment because you don't want to have to wait in line. Um, and the other thing is, do most of you use a second package? So that being, if somebody that you have, let's say Carmela's donating her condo on the beach, I would sit down with Carmela in advance and say, hey, if we get a great amount of participation in this, are you willing to donate a second package? She may say yes, she may say no. If she says yes, as soon as we sell the first package, you don't auction it again. You ask the second bidder, hey, we just talked to Carmela, and being the amazing woman that she is, she donated a second package. Will you pay the same price for it? Because if you go back in and re-auction it, frequently you don't get as much money and then you have an unhappy first bidder. A fast, easy way just to make your auction go a little bit faster. In my mind, experience is what people want. They want that getaway. They want that South Padre, the retreat. They want to go to the beach. They want to have an experience in a hotel, get airlines involved. Make a list of what you want and then look around on your members and who might have the availability to go talk to those people. There are places that you can go and purchase trips. Lux Give, Travel Pledge, Give Back. I have never used any of those for a trip. In general, I find them to be pretty expensive, but if you've got a high pocket donor list, it might make sense. If you have any local guides, and we always have an AMBUC member that had a hunting trip that he would donate to the spring fishing. If you've got any professional hunters, fishers, any type of guide, even if it was somebody that was going to take like a hiking tour or anything that people would go, oh, that might be kind of fun. But hunting and fishing trips, especially with, we have a large population of men in most of these events with AMBUCs. So I tend to try to not just go towards the frilly pedicure, manicure type thing. Um, we have done the Argentina hunt. It's through they pointer wing shoot. We have sold 3 of them. I've never had anybody actually go. So we've made good money off of them. Frequently, they'll give you one for free, and you have to sell it at a certain price. And frequently, they'll do more, all with different requirements. So make sure you read the fine print, because there is, if you look at these exclusions, 22 boxes, $22 for a box of shells, the gun rental, you need to make sure that you have all of the fine print on the information when you're auctioning it, so that you don't have any surprises. I'm not a fan of surprises at all. All of the normal things, vintage items, sports memorabilia, collectibles. Most, if you've been around for a while, you probably knew Isaac Gregory. He was a local legend, and he had a wooden Indian, a true wooden Indian. He's about 3 feet tall. We auction him off every year. You only get to keep him for a year, and then we re-auction him. Interestingly, one guy bought him for 7 straight years because he was convinced his son and then the second son did better in baseball when he had the wooden Indian in his space. So go for crazy. The whole thing about funding is the weirder it is, the better people are going to like it. Always dining and pairing experiences. K-State, I did a presentation for them. They had their president do a dinner at his home. One of our local guys, Dave Boer, does a green egg dinner pairing at his house. For one of the other events, the city manager, whose parents own a Italian restaurant in one of those little Texas towns, he prepared a meal for 12 here at my house. It was fun. It was different. We've lost the ability to have the BSNF dining car. I'd love to get that back if anybody knows. If you have a lake or a river, do a sunset cruise. People love to do that. Anything that's bizarre that you can't do on your own, people will pay for. And it's just thinking outside the square, the box, whatever you want to call it. If you're doing an event, meet and greet, introduce the band, behind the scenes, add gift cards, have a hotel stay. The more interesting you can make that experience, the more you can get someone to pay for it. Maybe you have an event that you need judges. Let someone auction off to be one of the to be one of the judges. VIP, if you have a float, if you have swag, these are all things that we all look at and think, but if you aren't, maybe you invite them to be the special guest at an AMBUC presentation. You buy the trike and you can come and present it with us. It's just so important that you make it something meaningful and different that they can't get any other way. Silent auctions, online versus paper. I am totally an online girl because you get your money immediately. There's no waiting in line. But that being said, is not waiting in a line worth $300 to $500? Depends on your market again. If you've got a lot of people in the neighborhood that will actually get involved that won't be at your event, then it probably doesn't make sense. Here's some that I've used. Auction Frog, we've used Excel Events, Octeria. I think we just used one other one. It depends on how much money you're planning to raise. And you need to read all the fine print. I'm a big fine print person. When you're getting ready to set up your silent auction, whether you do it with paper or online, you need to decide whether you want to try to group items or have individual items. In general, if you have a $50 gift card, you're never going to get more than $50 for that. Potentially, if you include it with something that is, again, interesting, you may be able to get a higher value. I always include a buy it now. It's usually 125 to 150% of the value. If you find somebody that really, really, really wants that hand-blown glass vase from your local artist, let them pay for it. I'm all about that. Make sure you plan your closing time. Make sure that you have a lot of volunteers ready at closing time, because There have been scuffles at the end of paper auctions. I'm just going to tell you, you need to be ready to pull those out fast. You can also go on Amazon and actually register the items you'd like to have in your auction. And then if you're talking and Gordon just doesn't know what he should donate, he can go into Amazon, look through what you want, and purchase it for you. Um, the scariest thing for most people of fundraising is that you have to talk to people. So write a script that your committee can use. Make sure that they do not discuss it as being a charitable contribution. If it's a business, it's an advertising donation because you're going to provide their name, their logo, depending on how much they give you. And most companies, and if I'm wrong here, Carmela, let me know, most companies, most corporates have a limit on how much they can contribute to a charity and write off based on how much their income is, but there is no deduction for advertising expenses. So just make sure you kind of keep thinking on ways to get the most buck for your bang. Nope, most bang for your buck. As your items come in, make sure you start a really good documentation. I always use an Excel spreadsheet so that I know who it comes from, if there's any notes on it, and then we start putting all of the gift cards and the gift certificates in an alpha file. Do not ever put your gift cards or gift certificates out on your silent auction because they have occasionally, although we like to think our guys won't do it, disappeared. If you have items that haven't gotten open in bids, you may have to adjust those items. I don't do it until an hour or so before closing, because a lot of people will go in and bid on those orphans because they feel bad for them. I have a full 2 drawers of sad orphan items that I've bought. Make sure you have enough people to check out if you're doing a paper one. Make sure you have enough people, that you have a plan on how you can get them put together. And I'm a big believer in having somebody sign when that they've picked up their stuff, because it just makes life easier, especially if you've got 2 or 3 people checking out.
What's an
Make
example
sure
of an orphan? Yeah, what's an example of an orphan item?
an orphan item. So you've got you have a local photographer that donated a sitting fee and one 8x10, and it's valued at $500. So you've started it at $250. Nobody bought it. Nobody's bid on it. So it's what I call an orphan. Nobody's bid on it. It's got no activity. So yes. And make sure that you have ways to join your organization or your group. So often we do this great auction. We've got all these people. A lot of them don't know us, and we forget to close the deal and say, hey, will you join? Are you interested in coming to a meeting? This is what we're about. You need to see everything else we do. And all year long, just keep looking at other auctions because you get so many really good ideas. I'm just going to let you read this for a minute because you can read better than I can. Pickleball right now is crazy popular. I don't understand it, but even company branded items work really, really well. Again, it's things people don't know how to get. Children's kids stuff is wildfire and fast and easy to get, and pet stuff always goes. Sporting events, I'm not a fan of photography. I've never found it to be great. The technology speakers, the wireless speakers, the photo frames, the Ring doorbells, the little stack up statement where you can plug in like 5 or 6 different chargers into one little location. Those were crazy at the one we did 2 weeks ago. And
Luann, I'm sorry, what are we supposed to be reading?
just the stuff on the screen. Do you not see the screen?
I see you.
Oh.
Oh, I can see this. I can see the screen. So it might be your
My
presentation.
view. Okay, I'm so sorry.
No,
that's
okay. I'm glad that you said that because
Oh,
we might
there we
have
go.
others.
Okay, I got it now.
You got
I
it?
see. Yep, at the
Okay.
top, there's another link for me.
Yes, there we go. If you go into any of your retail stores, look at their items that are on sale. They're going to be happy to get rid of them, and it might be fun. And, really weird looking lamps, they're kind of fun because you'll always find that one person that has just the place for that totally awful lamp. Make sure you hit Lowe's and Home Depot. They're usually really, really good. Your veterinarians, car detail, just you can't think too small because somebody will want it. That was probably too fast, sorry. If you're doing an event, I did a school auction and we used a lot of kids' artwork. Why? Because parents and grandparents will buy it. Adult beverages, cigars, and if you have an event that you can do tickets for the next year, include those. It kind of depends on what you're exactly fundraising for. This is kind of a one size fits all. You can put together baskets. I had a noteworthy necessities. I loved that one. I bought it. It had all kinds of different note cards and Christmas cards. And, it was just really fun. Had a couple pens. I think it had a bottle of wine because you need to have alcohol while you write. But yeah, just anything fun and different. Again, I know I keep saying the same thing, but you've got to get the experience. Inflatables, if people love inflatables. I have a friend that collects Christmas bubble blow up things. He's got them everywhere. Vintage items, if you just have to make sure that whoever donates them isn't going to get sad if you don't sell it for the amount of money they think it's worth. Always a risk, can come into problems. I am not a huge fan of services because in general, what? Oops, sorry. People in general have a plan on who they want to use, but you never know. And designer bags and purses always are huge. All of these, if you have a personalized bench that you can put in a park, ballroom dancing, have a lunch catered. They're all really fun, different things that people will go, oh, that would be pretty cool. So we have a local restaurant that for a number of years donated, you could get your sandwich named for them. I think there's a Gale Hall in that place. If you, in general, I find that Ambucks, the ride to work in the police car doesn't sell very well because it just has a really bad connotation. But for kids, it's kind of fun. If you have a superhero in the neighborhood, we have a Batman and he has a bat car and he'll come and do things. If you have a botanical gardens, we actually haven't done this yet, but I'm going to. I have one of the top 10 women Western artists here in Grapevine, and we were going to put together a painting and wine event where she would help you paint this, all kind of paint the same thing and have some good wine. And I think it sounds like fun. I just have to get the right timing. It's going to happen. Continue to be innovative. Lottery tickets. That was one of my best last year thoughts. Whatever state you're in, buy lottery tickets. You can put them on a tree, you can put them on a bag. People will spend a lot more money than the face value because they figured they might win. Holiday light display ride, if you have a 4th of July event, a dinner party, maybe if you've got remember I do this for events too, but if you have a quilt made from event t-shirts or old Ambucks, with all of your Ambucks t-shirts, those can be really, really, really popular. If it was the quilt made from event shirts, I'd have a minimum on it, and I would probably do it as a raffle because you'd make more money. So that just segs me into not an auction fan. So everybody's done a 50-50 auction, I suspect. Yes, yes, yes. You can add some zing to it with heads or tails. Are you familiar with heads and tails? Okay, good. So most of you are. If you just put everybody in a room and they decide whether it's going to be head or tail, and they put their hand on their head or put their hands on their booties. Cadillac auction, you pick 4 or 5 winners, and those tickets vote on whether they want to split the pot or whether they want to continue. And if one person says they want to continue, then you draw another name and that person's out. It makes it, a whole lot of fun. And again, beware of the rules in your state, because I can't keep up with Texas, let alone everywhere else. $100 raffle tickets where you only sell 100 or 150 tickets. If it's something like a shotgun, a scooter, a bundle of a wagon of alcohol, a meat bundle, those are the things that you can sell, and everybody will buy them, not just your Ambuck members. Because ideally, our goal is to figure out how to get money from outside Ambuck's members and increase our visibility and get more members, and preferably to have them be under 60. Paddle raise. If you have an event, probably one of the best times we did a paddle raise, well, actually 2. Last week we raised $7,000, and that put our executive director down a slide into the pool. Sorry, Jessica. It could be you. But that was it. For $7,000, Steve would slide down the pool. Back when we did an event, we did a Gale Hall Night of the Dead in McAllen, and we probably raised $15,000 because everybody donated in the name of someone who had passed away that was vital to the organization. So yeah, sometimes you do just use some really, you want to get people's heartstrings going. Wine pull. Get people to donate wine. You wrap them in boxes or bottle bags, put a number on them, pull a poker chip with a number, that's the wine they get. Usually they're $20 for the bottle of wine. You try to keep the bottles of wine with a minimum of $20 value up to 50 or 60. It always goes really well. The only thing you have to be aware of is if you're doing this in a location that's either city owned or a hotel, you have to encourage people not to open the wine because it's a violation of pretty much every state law that I know in every state. Glass tasting, it's a lot of fun. You can has anybody done glass tastings? So you sit down and you have 2 or 3 reds and whites, and you have a plastic cup, you have a cheap wine glass, you have a large bowl glass, and you have a tall glass, which are both usually from Riedel. They usually will put these on. The same wine in that cheap plastic glass versus a nice glass is ridiculous. You can do this at home if you don't believe me, but yeah, it's really fun. So you can charge people to come in, they get to taste the wine, they get to taste the glasses, have a few little charcuterie for each one. It's a great way to get people in, get them talking. And again, going back to promoting Ambucks, what we do, why we do it, and you can, always show a slideshow of your last 7 presentations. And an alcohol wagon. Just have everybody donate alcohol, raffle that baby off. It's huge, easy way. I've always wanted to do this. You can have an adult Easter egg hunt. What people have done is put little pieces of paper inside the plastic eggs that are for gift cards, for little bottles of alcohol, big bottles of alcohol. I prefer not to put anything of value out where you aren't going to find it, but that way they can always just come up and hand you their little egg slips and they can win. And that just is another, you could have it in conjunction with a non-adult, a kid one. That's what those kids are called. The gray scala that we talked about, Kendra Scott donated probably 200 different pieces of jewelry, and they put them in a grab bag. And so for I think $100, $50, I think it was $100, you could go grab your piece of jewelry. And then we saw tables swapping jewelry around, so everybody got the one they liked best. Flocking. So this, you probably have seen high schools do it a lot. We did it with a duck race. I did a rotary duck race one for a few years. And so we had duck signs, we'd put them in your yard. And it started that I would say, hey, can you put these signs in Matt's yard? And then Matt would get a note that said he could either pay $45 to have them picked up, or for $55, he could send them over to Robin. And of course, if he doesn't do anything, we still go back and get them and move them on. But it's fun. It's a great visibility because you have the signs that say sponsored by Ambucks. You can change this to whatever animal you want. We were really thinking about doing it. We were going to do a pickleball, doing it with pickles and just call it getting pickled. But that's a whole nother thing. So now we're going into the crazy things. Human slot machine. Ever seen them? Yes, I love this. So you put 3 people, you just set up a big cardboard box and you set 3 people in it and you go and you hit the button and those 3 people go and they hold up something. And if they match, that person wins. It can be like if you did a $5 entry, they could get their $5 back. But it's fun to watch because you have adults going telephone. So yeah, that's on my list. Tape measure races, you take a long board, you put the big tape measures on it, hook them at the end, you pull them out, and everybody lets go of them at the same time, and the first one wins. The goldfish race. Kind of think gutters filled with water with a guppy and a straw. And you can either let the little guppy along or you can blow on him and whoever wins. Actually, I was talking about this with one of my other people, and she was like, oh, yeah, we do that with our family reunion. They actually have heats. And I said, what happens to the guppies that don't win? And she said, you don't want to know. So I'm thinking they're going somewhere. Rubber duck race, it's a ton of fun. It's if you ever want to do one, I have ducks that I can probably get to let you use pretty cheaply. You rent them out, they adopt. One duck is $10, 3 for 25, 5 for 50. And always, so everybody, when you're doing your raffles and it's 3 for 25 or 5 for 50, and somebody said, Luann, that's the same. I said, I don't care. People will spend the $50. They don't think about the fact that they could just buy 2 of the 25s. They won't do that. They'll buy 25, where in reality, their plan was to spend 50. So sometimes you just have to help people spend money. Good news, it's a heck of a lot of fun. Bad news, so many pools are not designed for it. I did, my next to the last one was at Great Wolf Lodge, and they had tested it. It came down those big slides. It was so cool. And I got there 2.5 hours before the event and discovered that the raging river didn't move. It sat there. So I had 3,000 ducks coming down, and they sat there. So we actually had fans running. We had people in there. We've been known to use leaf blowers. Yeah, the last one went better, but it's just fun. But the ducks are heavy. One of our local groups does Dancing with the Stars, makes a ton of money with it. If you haven't done something like that, it may be a really fun event to get people involved with. It's getting golf tournaments. We do 50-50 raffles during it. We sell a package that includes a 50-50 Isaac's hole, the hole-in-one and mulligans for a set price. And people in general will buy those with their registration. And it's just fun things, again, that you can get people, you want to try to get people's money all at once if you can. And then there's bowling, pickleball, and the cornhole tournament. We just finished up our cornhole tournament 2 weeks ago, and it was a lot of fun. Had a ton of people, and I think we'll start doing a smaller type, maybe not with all the sponsors and the food, but it's just a really great way to get a whole new group of people knowing about Ambucks, which is what this whole thing is about. We talked about the human slot machine golf tournament. Why is this the same? Parking for events. Grapevine Ambucks makes a ton of money parking people. You talk to the business owners, can we use your parking lot during this event? 3 or 4 volunteers. We use Square that's on the phone so everybody can take credit cards. We charge more for a credit card. You do need to make sure that you have a certificate of insurance. For the first time in 6 years, we're going to have a claim because we screwed up and somebody parked too close, and that person decided to key the car that had been placed there by us. But, people are whatever. But I do strongly, and we do get that, I think, through National Ambucks. They have a number that you call and get the certificate of insurance for each location that you have. Paid volunteer gigs. Do any of you have events in your town that they look for volunteers and they'll pay you? Somebody told me I couldn't call it that, but so we do Great Fest in Main Street and they need volunteers. So they pay somewhere between $10 and $12 an hour for every hour that you volunteer. So it's something to look into. It's really smart for the event organizer if you're having problems getting volunteers, because you then can talk about how much of an impact you've had on local organizations through your event. That more than likely, Great Fest has about 250,000 people that come in, and so you have a lot of people that so the beer booths are paid volunteers. All of the gates are paid volunteers. It's getting close. And how am I doing on time? Cow, chicken, horse, bingo. You take an area, you mark it out, you sell those squares, and then you let the cow, chicken, horse out there and see where he cacas first. I don't make these things up. I've seen them. It's kind of fun. Okay, I talked so fast. Questions? None. Yay. Oh, that's perfect. If you have any questions, if something comes up, if you want some ideas, that's all of my info. And yeah, I'm always available.
Well, thank you, Lou Ann. Really appreciate you being on tonight. A lot of these ideas are really great. And, I've seen quite a few of them as I've traveled around. Um, East Texas, Carmela Davis sponsors and takes part in one that I think they just did a couple of weeks ago down in East Texas. Woodward Midday is getting ready to have an auction with their Harvest Fest activities. Um, believe Lubbock Monterey does some great things. Um, so these are really great ideas, and I can see a bunch of turtles popping up in yards around Lawton somehow.
Yeah.
Just go figure where that might go to, but something called National Conference. So I could see Great Plains chapter doing something like that unless Mountain Metro beats us to it, which they're on as usual on these calls. Um, but really appreciate your ideas. They are fun. They're exciting. Um, it's a great way to raise money, probably a lot of money. And,
Well, and
you
I
know,
did forget to tell you that Grapevine Ambucks is doing a new event in November, which is going to be an am hunt. And we are going to team up with Main Street Merchants to celebrate Small Business Saturday. And we'll have different pictures of different pieces of an Amtrak around, and then we'll have a big drawing for everybody that's gotten all of the pieces, and somebody will win. So we'll see how that one goes. That one's new. That one's still in the planning stage.
So on that same kind of conversation, how many years do you think it takes for a new fundraiser to get some traction? And then how are you promoting new fundraisers? How are you getting it out in the community to get people interested?
So I think it takes at least, I don't think you see the first year it happen. I think it's the second or third year. I think social media is primarily the best way to do it. We don't have a local newspaper anymore, so we don't have that option. We do have a couple online, really good venues to be able to do some advertising. I think if you're trying to reach the over 55-year-olds, you stay on Facebook. If you're wanting to do less than that, you've got to be on Instagram. I think you've got to be on Threads. I think X is just, I don't think that one matters. Um, we're going to do posters in the merchant windows because we are definitely going towards merchants. If it's something where you're selling raffle tickets, kind of decide how you can assign how many people need to sell them. You need to sell 10 raffle tickets. You can either buy those 10 them yourselves, or you can sell them to other people. We do a lot if we're doing a raffle, we'll hit some of the local food and beverages locations. Sometimes they'll even sell them for us. Um, Social media is probably your best bet, and you can actually, with Facebook, you can pay a little bit and it will target people in your neighborhood, which I assume you've all used, but every time I don't say that, somebody says I haven't heard of it. Really inexpensive, and you can target, do you want to have the 20 to 30-year-olds? Do you want the over 65? Do you want them just in your local area? Do you want to go bigger? But yeah, I'm hoping our goal for this fundraiser isn't fundraising, it's visibility. Because I think it's important that we let the merchants know about Ambucks. And we've had some incredible fundraisers. We had one of the local businesses that were selling Post Malone shirts. And we got a portion of all of those portion of the proceeds. So
Wow.
it's just important they know you're there.
Well, and I love that you talk about visibility. And then earlier too, you talked about, don't forget this is a membership organization. This is an opportunity to recruit, to tell people about Ambucks. And I think that we have so many big fundraisers across the country. And I have had chapters reach out to me where they have this wildly successful fundraiser, but they tell me people don't know that Ambucks is doing it, one, and that we're a membership volunteer organization and that we need help to continue doing it. And I'm like, well, that's what you have to target. You've already got the fundraiser that brings in the money. How do you address the visibility portion? So thank you for bringing that up because visibility is so important.
Yeah, because
You started your presentation with knowing your audience too. And I think
Yeah.
that that's so important because we lived for 14 years in Ohio, and I'll tell you that what works in Northeast Ohio is not necessarily the same as what works in Southwest Oklahoma.
Yeah. And sometimes that, I mean, for me, that's the hardest thing. I really want to do a big fundraiser in Iowa, but I cannot figure out what the right piece would be. And so, because I don't know if $100 to $150 really nice dinner is a price point that community could embrace. And I'll let you know if I ever figure it out. I'll send a real fast memo.
Yeah, this is a great time to have a fundraising idea with this being fall branding time. It's a big recruitment period for Ambucks, and it's also an opportunity to get visibility through a fundraiser and invite people to come to meetings.
Yep.
Hey, is there any questions for Luann on anything that she's covered? Don't be shy.
The
Gordon, you
other
gonna
Good one.
share
item
the slide
but go ahead.
presentation?
What?
I asked Gordon if he's gonna share the slide presentation we distribute to our clubs.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes, they'll be posted online. If it's the same slide deck that Luann sent to me, I can forward them to the region directors and the Big Hat president, and we can get it out through that way also.
Thank you.
You're
And
very welcome.
I do have one question. How do you start your bids? One year we were too high and one year we were too low. Is there a certain percentage that you start out your silent auction bids?
I would say, again, it kind of depends on your auction items, but I would say somewhere between, I would start somewhere between 30 and 50%. In general, 30, I think, because for a $50 gift card, starting it at 25 is going to work. For a $1,000 something something, it might be best to start it at 300 and let it give up. The real question is, are you willing to sell it for that price? So if you have $1,000 condo, are you willing to go back and have your event? And frequently, remember, especially on online auctions, you can go back and see what the organization got for that auction item. So are you willing to have that person that donated the $1,000 condo see that you only got $250 for it? I'm not going to go there. I'm going to probably stay at 500. And if I have to drop it because it's an orphan and nobody's bid on it, I might very well either not sell it, because we did that a lot. I do an International Festival and Events Association, and we just finished our national convention, and we had some trips that were very, very unique. And we didn't get the opening bids on some of them, and we just didn't sell them. Because I'd rather say to the vendor, to the donor, we didn't get the money that we felt we needed for the quality that you gave. We'll use it, we'll do a separate auction, or we'll do something else with it.
Okay. Thank you.
Because I don't want to annoy my sponsors and my donors.
I know in Texas, I don't know about some of y'all, but down here at one of the Neil McCoy auction and stuff does tremendously well on guns for a live auction, and then certain guns for silent auction. But again, you got to start that price out well. But again, the guys need something that they can get versus all the frilly stuff for a woman.
And remember, Carmela is totally right. But remember, if you are auctioning off a gun, you cannot deliver it. You have to use a third-party licensed weapon person, a licensed retailer for weapons and guns, and they will negotiate the changing of the ownership. You can't just
Federally licensed.
Yes, a license. Thank you. I knew there was a word.
Okay, we still have a few minutes left. Are there any other questions or comments on this presentation?
One other thing that I haven't done for a long, long time, I've seen it really recently, and I need to add it to the slideshow because I was in Iowa last weekend, but it's a non-event. And you make up a certificate and it says, for $200, I will not attend your event. For $400, you won't call me for any of the events this quarter. And I don't know, I'm thinking that I may try that because I think sponsorships, one of the things that I've been trying to get Grapevine Ambooks and we're looking at is to do an annual as opposed to hitting these people up, be they members or sponsors or donors. But instead of hitting them 4 or 5 times a year, maybe you just say, hey, do you want to be one of our, presenting sponsors for this, and this, and you'll be listed as a this for this, and get them to write one check a year. And And that kind of, again, depends on know your audience.